a woman who isn't afraid to stand alone. Good morning, everyone. Today, I want to talk about something deeply personal, yet universal, a woman who isn't afraid to stand alone. As women, we've been told what to wear, how to act, and what to aspire to. The world has drawn boxes around us, dictating where we belong. But here's the truth. The moment you dare to step out of that box is the moment you discover the power of standing alone. Standing alone is not about isolation, it's about self-belief. It's about knowing who you are and what you stand for, even when the world doesn't understand. It's about finding your voice in the noise and choosing your path, not because it's easy, but because it's yours. Let me share something I've learned. There is nothing more powerful than a woman who embraces her individuality. When you own your flaws, your strengths, and your dreams unapologetically, you become unstoppable. I've stood on stages where I was the only woman, walked into rooms where I was underestimated, and faced situations where failure seemed inevitable. But I realized something: when you know your worth, you don't wait for validation. You don't wait for permission. You rise, and you rise alone if you have to. Ladies, standing alone doesn't mean you're against the world. It means you're paving a way for others to follow. You're showing what it looks like to lead with courage, to dream without limits, and to live without fear. So, here's my message: be the woman who isn't afraid to stand alone. Because when you do, you redefine what's possible, not just for yourself, but for every girl who looks up to you and dares to dream bigger. Let them say you were brave. Let them say you were fierce. But most importantly, let them say you were you. Embrace individuality. Each one of us is born unique, yet society constantly pressures us to conform. From the moment we're young, we're told to fit into molds that don't belong to us. But individuality isn't just a trait, it's your essence, it's what makes you you. Imagine a world where everyone looked, acted, and thought the same. How dull that would be. When you embrace your individuality, you allow your soul to shine in its purest form. It's not about standing out for attention, it's about standing true to yourself. The quirks, the oddities, the things that make you laugh or cry, they're all part of the masterpiece that is you. When you stop apologizing for who you are, you begin to live authentically. There's incredible strength in knowing that you don't need to fit in. The world celebrates originality, not carbon copies. Look at every great artist, inventor, or leader. They weren't afraid to be different. They celebrated it. So why shouldn't you? Sometimes being unique will feel lonely. You may look around and think, why doesn't anyone else see the world like I do? But that's precisely the point. Your perspective is yours. It's your power. It's your gift to the world. We often downplay our uniqueness, thinking it's too weird or not enough. But have you ever thought that what makes you different could be the very thing that inspires someone else? Your individuality is not a flaw. It's your signature. Own it. There will always be voices trying to tell you to conform. It's easier for people to understand what they recognize. But you're not here to make others comfortable. You're here to make a mark. Embracing individuality isn't just a choice, it's a responsibility. The beauty of individuality is that it's constantly evolving. Who you were yesterday may not be who you are today, and that's okay. Growth is a part of your unique journey. Let go of the pressure to define yourself permanently. Instead, embrace the fluidity of your identity. When you honor your individuality, you attract the right people into your life. You don't need to chase approval from others who don't appreciate you. The ones who see your value will celebrate your authenticity. Being unique doesn't mean you have to be loud or rebellious. Sometimes it's about quiet confidence. It's about walking into a room and knowing that you belong there, not because you fit the mold, but because you bring something no one else can. You don't have to ask for permission to be yourself. The world may not always understand you, and that's okay. Your individuality isn't meant to be understood by everyone, it's meant to be respected. There will be moments when you question your path, when the weight of expectations feels too heavy. But remember, no one else has your story, your journey, or your dreams. That's your power. That's your strength. The most extraordinary achievements in history have come from people who dared to embrace their individuality. They didn't wait for validation. They didn't ask for approval. They simply believed in themselves. Your individuality is your freedom. It liberates you from the chains of comparison and competition. It allows you to walk your path, no matter how unconventional it may be. So don't dim your light because it's different. Let it shine brighter. Let it illuminate the world in a way only you can. Your individuality is your legacy. Let it be unforgettable. Own your voice. Owning your voice is one of the most courageous acts of self-expression. Your voice is more than just the words you speak. It's the essence of your truth, your identity, and your power. Yet so often we silence ourselves, fearing judgment, rejection, or misunderstanding. But let me tell you this, your voice has the power to change not only your world, but the world around you. There will always be people who try to tell you what you can or cannot say. They'll impose rules, expectations, and fears. But your voice is yours alone. It doesn't need to fit into someone else's narrative. It doesn't need to sound like anyone else's. It just needs to be honest, raw, and authentically you. Speaking up isn't always easy. It requires vulnerability. It requires you to stand in the spotlight, knowing that not everyone will agree with you. But that's okay. Your voice doesn't need to please everyone. It only needs to be true to yourself. Sometimes we hold back because we feel we're not qualified enough to speak. But let me ask you this: who decides who is qualified? Your lived experiences, your emotions, and your perspective are all the qualifications you need. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be real. There will be moments when your voice trembles and you'll wonder if it's worth it. But even a trembling voice carries power. Even a soft whisper can ignite change. It's not about the volume of your voice. It's about the courage it takes to use it. Owning your voice doesn't mean shouting the loudest in the room. It means speaking with conviction, clarity, and purpose. It means knowing when to raise your voice for justice and when to soften it for compassion. Both are equally powerful. You might worry that your voice won't make a difference, but let me tell you it will. Every movement, every revolution, every change in history started with someone daring to speak. Your words have the potential to ripple across generations. Sometimes owning your voice means standing alone. It means saying the unpopular thing, calling out the injustice, or refusing to stay silent when silence feels easier. But those are the moments when your voice matters the most. There will be people who try to silence you. They'll tell you that your opinions don't matter, that your ideas are too big, or that your dreams are unrealistic. But their doubts are not your burden. Your voice is not meant to fit their expectations. Owning your voice is also about listening to yourself and others. It's about understanding what drives you, what moves you, and what matters to you. When you align your voice with your values, it becomes a force of authenticity. Your voice can inspire others to find their own. When you speak your truth, you create a space for others to do the same. You show them that it's okay to be bold, vulnerable, and unapologetically real. There's a difference between speaking to be heard and speaking to be understood. When you own your voice, you don't just seek attention, you seek connection. You use your words to bridge gaps, build empathy, and create dialogue. Owning your voice doesn't mean you'll always get it right. You'll make mistakes, say the wrong things, or face backlash. But those moments are part of the journey. They teach you, shape you, and make your voice even stronger. At the end of the day, your voice is your legacy. It's what people will remember about you long after you've left the room. So, don't hold back. Don't whisper when you're meant to roar. Don't silence yourself when the world needs to hear you. Your voice is your power. Use it boldly, bravely, and unapologetically. The world is waiting. Defy expectations. Every one of us grows up surrounded by expectations: what to do, how to behave, who to become. These expectations can feel like a warm blanket, comforting us with a sense of direction. But they can also be a cage, limiting our potential and suppressing our dreams. To truly live, you must break free from the chains of expectations and defy them with courage and conviction. Defying expectations doesn't mean you're rebellious or difficult. It means you have the audacity to carve your own path, even when the world tells you otherwise. It's about listening to your inner voice, the one that knows what you're capable of, even when no one else sees it. People will tell you to stay in your lane, to follow the rules, and to play it safe. They'll say this is the way it's always been done, as if tradition is reason enough to hold yourself back. But remember, every great innovator, creator, or leader was once called unrealistic or too ambitious. Expectations often come from a place of fear. People project their insecurities onto you because they're afraid of what they don't understand. But their fear is not your responsibility. Your only responsibility is to honor your potential and follow your truth. There's power in challenging the status quo. When you dare to defy expectations, you not only liberate yourself, but also inspire others to question what's possible. You become a living example of what it means to dream beyond limits. Defying expectations is not an act of defiance for its own sake. It's an act of self-respect. It's saying, I know what I'm worth and I won't settle for less. It's about choosing growth over comfort, purpose over popularity, and authenticity over approval. You will face resistance. People might laugh, criticize, or doubt you. They might try to box you in with their own fears and limitations. But their opinions are not your truth. Their doubts do not define you. Only you can decide who you are and what you're capable of. When you defy expectations, you will fail at times, and that's okay. Failure isn't the end, it's a stepping stone. Each failure teaches you, strengthens you, and brings you closer to success. The only true failure is staying stuck in the fear of what others think. The beauty of defying expectations is that it leads to discovery. When you step outside of the boundaries others have set for you, you begin to uncover parts of yourself you never knew existed. You find strengths, passions, and dreams that were buried under the weight of conformity. This journey isn't about proving others wrong, it's about proving yourself right. It's about showing up for your dreams, even when no one else believes in them. It's about building a life that reflects your values, not someone else's. Defying expectations doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's the quiet decisions that make the biggest impact, the choice to pursue a dream, to walk away from what no longer serves you, or to say no to what doesn't align with your purpose. You owe it to yourself to defy the expectations that limit you, not just for you, but for everyone who looks up to you. When you break barriers, you show others that they can too. You create a ripple effect of courage and possibility. The world needs more people who dare to be different, who dare to dream beyond the ordinary, who dare to defy expectations. Because it's through these acts of courage that progress is made and change becomes possible. So don't be afraid to challenge the norms, to question the rules, or to rewrite the script. Your life is yours to design, not a template to follow. The only expectations that matter are the ones you set for yourself. Remember, the greatest achievements in life come from the boldness to step outside the box. So step out, stand tall, and show the world what happens when you refuse to settle. Be fearless in failure. The fear of failure can be paralyzing, but the reality of failure is liberating. When you fail, you realize it's not as catastrophic as you imagine. You learn that life goes on, and so do you. In that process, you discover strength, resilience, and courage you never knew you had. Every failure carries a lesson. It teaches you what works, what doesn't, and most importantly, who you are. Failure sharpens your instincts and deepens your understanding. It's not a setback, it's a stepping stone, each one bringing you closer to your goals. Being fearless in failure doesn't mean you won't feel disappointment, frustration, or even heartbreak. You will. But it means you won't let those feelings define you. It means you'll stand back up, dust yourself off, and try again. Because every time you rise stronger. People often view failure as a mark of incompetence, but I see it as a mark of bravery. It takes guts to put yourself out there, knowing there's a chance you might fall. It's easy to stay in your comfort zone, but nothing great has ever been achieved there. Failure is also a powerful teacher. It teaches you humility, adaptability, and perseverance. It forces you to confront your fears, reassess your strategies, and refine your approach. It's not an obstacle, it's an opportunity. There's a stigma around failure that we need to let go of. Failure doesn't make you less, it makes you more. More experienced, more aware, and more prepared for the challenges ahead. Failure is not a reflection of your worth, it's a reflection of your journey. The most successful people in the world have failed more times than they can count. They didn't reach the top because they avoided failure. They reached the top because they embraced it. They learned from it, grew from it, and kept moving forward. Sometimes failure will come despite your best efforts. You'll pour your heart and soul into something and it still won't work out. But that doesn't mean you're not good enough. It simply means there's another lesson to learn, another path to take, another dream to chase. Failure isn't just about falling short of your goals. It's about finding the courage to pursue them in the first place. It's about proving to yourself that you have what it takes to show up, even when the odds are stacked against you. You can't control the outcome, but you can control your response. You can choose to see failure as a dead end, or you can choose to see it as a detour, a chance to explore a different route, a better route. The choice is always yours. Being fearless in failure doesn't mean you won't make mistakes. It means you won't let those mistakes stop you. It means you'll keep showing up, keep fighting, and keep believing in yourself no matter what. Remember, every failure is a chapter in your story, not the whole story. It's a moment in time, not a lifetime. So don't let the fear of failure hold you back. Fail big, fail boldly, and fail beautifully, because every failure brings you one step closer to the life you're meant to live. Inspire through courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's moving forward despite it. It's what separates the dreamers from the doers, the talkers from the change makers. And the truth is, courage isn't something you're born with, it's something you cultivate. To inspire others, you must first be willing to rise, even when the ground beneath you feels unstable. It's about embracing uncertainty, stepping into the unknown, and trusting yourself to navigate the journey ahead. Courage is not about having all the answers, it's about taking the first step, even when the path is unclear. You might wonder, what if I fail? The answer is simple: what if you don't? What if the risk is worth it? What if your courage becomes the spark that ignites change? Fear will always be there, whispering doubts and insecurities, but your courage will silence them. When you act with courage, you become a source of inspiration for those around you. People are drawn to authenticity and determination. They want to witness someone who is unapologetically themselves, who doesn't back down in the face of adversity. That someone can be you. Inspiration isn't about having all the answers or being fearless. It's about showing others that they too have the strength within them to rise above their challenges. When you lead with courage, you show others what's possible. Courage is often misunderstood. It's not about being fearless, it's about acting despite the fear. You don't need to have it all figured out to move forward. Sometimes the courage to begin is all you need. Your courage doesn't have to be grand or dramatic. It can be as simple as believing in yourself when no one else does. It can be standing alone in your truth when others are afraid to speak. It can be facing your fears head on, knowing that discomfort leads to growth. Inspiring others through courage doesn't mean you won't face setbacks or doubts. It means you'll face them, acknowledge them, and move forward despite them. The real strength lies not in the absence of fear, but in how you respond to it. When you act with courage, you show the world that failure isn't the end, it's part of the journey. You demonstrate that perseverance, resilience, and belief in yourself are the keys to success. People are drawn to those who take bold steps, who dare to dream, and who stand tall in the face of adversity. They may not always understand your path, but they'll be inspired by your determination to walk it. Courage is contagious. When you live with it, others feel empowered to do the same. You become a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there is light. Inspiration through courage is about showing up, being seen, and letting others know they're not alone in their struggles. It's about leading with vulnerability, authenticity, and the belief that change is possible, no matter how challenging the journey may be. Inspiring others starts with believing in yourself. Trust that your courage will ripple out and touch lives in ways you may never fully understand. You don't have to be perfect, and you don't have to have it all figured out. Just be willing to act with heart and conviction. So take that leap, trust yourself, and let your courage be the catalyst for transformation, not just for you, but for everyone you have the privilege to inspire. Know your worth. Knowing your worth isn't about seeking validation from others. It's about recognizing your own value and believing in it, even when the world tells you otherwise. It's about standing in your power, rooted in self-love and self-belief. So often, we seek external validation, waiting for others to tell us we're enough, waiting for someone to confirm our worth. But the truth is, no one else can define who you are. Only you hold the key to that understanding. Knowing your worth doesn't mean you're perfect, nor does it mean you have all the answers. It means you have the courage to own your imperfections, your strengths, and your dreams. You're willing to show up for yourself, even when the world doubts you. People will try to measure your worth by their standards, your appearance, your achievements, your choices. But remember, their opinions are based on their own insecurities, not your truth. The only measure that matters is your own. Self-worth isn't built on the applause or approval of others. It's built on the quiet moments when you trust yourself, even when no one else does. It's about choosing to believe in your value when no one is watching. When you know your worth, you stop settling for less. You stop chasing approval, and you stop seeking external validation to feel worthy. Instead, you begin to stand in your power and own your place in the world. Knowing your worth means accepting yourself, flaws and all. It's about understanding that your worth is not determined by circumstances or opinions, but by the choices you make and the person you choose to become. There will always be voices that try to diminish you, people who doubt, criticize, or underestimate your potential. But their judgments are not your truth. Your worth doesn't decrease based on someone else's inability to see your greatness. Your worth is not dependent on how much you achieve or how many people approve of you. It's about knowing that, at your core, you are enough. There is nothing anyone else can do or say to take that away from you. Knowing your worth also means having the confidence to set boundaries. It's about saying no to what doesn't serve you and saying yes to what nurtures and uplifts you. When you value yourself, you no longer tolerate the things that deplete your energy. When you know your worth, you stop dimming your light to make others feel comfortable. You start living authentically, unapologetically, and fiercely. You own your dreams, your ambitions, and your power without hesitation. Your worth is not something you have to prove to anyone. It's something you feel deep within you. And when you live from that place of knowing, you attract people, opportunities, and experiences that reflect your value. Self-worth is not a destination, it's a journey. It's a daily practice of affirming who you are, what you stand for, and what you deserve. It's about honoring yourself, even when it feels hard. The moment you truly know your worth, you'll stop chasing things that don't align with your soul. You'll recognize your own power and step into your greatness without hesitation. Because your worth doesn't need approval, it just needs to be acknowledged. Trust your journey. We live in a world that often glorifies instant success, where everyone seems to have their lives mapped out. But real journeys, your journey, are rarely linear. They are messy, unpredictable, and often filled with doubt. And that's perfectly okay. Trusting your journey isn't about having all the answers. It's about embracing the uncertainty and believing that everything is unfolding as it should. The setbacks, the detours, the failures, they're not signs that you're lost. They're signs that you're growing. When you trust your journey, you stop trying to control every outcome. You stop rushing to arrive somewhere you think you need to be. Instead, you accept where you are and allow yourself to grow from there. Your journey isn't someone else's to mimic. It's yours, unique and sacred. The lessons, the struggles, the triumphs, they all belong to you. You may not understand them in the moment, but in hindsight, you'll see how they shaped you. There will be days when doubt creeps in and you'll wonder if you're heading in the right direction. But trust is not about the absence of fear. It's about walking forward despite it. It's about knowing that even if you stumble, you'll find your way. Your journey is not meant to be perfect. It's meant to be real, raw, and transformative. The moments when you're lost are often the moments when you discover your truest self. In life, there will be moments when you'll feel alone, uncertain and afraid. You'll face doubts, setbacks, and obstacles that may try to shake your belief in yourself. But it's in those moments when the world seems dark and uncertain that the truest version of you begins to emerge. A woman who isn't afraid to stand alone is one who has embraced her strength, risen through adversity, and trusted her journey. She's someone who defies expectations, who embraces failure as a path to growth, and who knows her worth without needing validation from others. You have the power within you to be that woman, to live boldly, to pursue your dreams, and to rise above every challenge that comes your way. Your journey is yours alone, uniquely crafted, filled with lessons, and destined for greatness. Courage, self-worth, and trust are not qualities you acquire overnight. They are built through each step you take, each fear you face, and each lesson you learn. The world may try to impose its limitations, but remember, your power is limitless. Let go of what no longer serves you, rise above the doubts, and trust in your own journey. The courage to stand alone is what will lead you to the life you're meant to live. So, stand tall, dream big, and know that the woman who isn't afraid to stand alone is the woman who stands for something truly remarkable. Your journey is your story. Embrace it, trust it, and know that the best version of you is waiting to be unveiled. The world needs your light, your strength, and your courage. Step forward, stand tall, and let your truth shine. Thank you for allowing me to share this journey with you. Keep believing, keep rising, and keep becoming the woman who isn't afraid to stand alone. The best is yet to come.